Hello, everyone. Welcome back and welcome to the Magical Witchy World TV. I am Star Ravenhawk.
And I am Rhonda Allen. Welcome back, everyone. This week
Yeah,
we are happy
to be back,
to
right?
continue with our panel. Yes.
Yeah, and discussing that amazing topic, are you a witch and who decides, and all the other things that comes with it. And we are happy to have these amazing individuals joining us back again for this great discussion. So let's bring them all
Yes.
in to say hi to you all. All right. So they've all came back. Same bad time, same bad channel. Kind of a thing. They all,
Did I get
did we get everyone?
exactly there?
Testing,
Yes.
testing. Oh, good.
Welcome, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome. Happy
All
to
right.
have you all back.
Yes. So what we will do is have you guys again do a nice quick intro of yourself, just to remind people who you are, and we will begin our conversation. So let's begin with Edward.
Hi, I'm Reverend Edward Stott from this, and I'm an Alexandrian Wiccan high priest of 50 some years in the craft.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Christina.
Welcome back.
I am a spiritual psychologist, a witch, and a psychopomp.
All right. Debbie.
Hi, I'm a tarot reader, and what else am I? I'm a publisher.
Yes.
I forget. And I'm an initiate of the Servants of the Light School of Occult Science.
All right. And Ashley.
Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a shamanic practitioner, I'm a podcaster, and a death midwife.
All right. Cool. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't even
Beautiful.
know that part. The death midwife part. Okay. And Rhonda.
And welcome, everyone. Well, yeah.
They kind
Hey,
of know
the
Rhonda and
other
they
half
kind of
of
know
Magical
me.
Witchy
So,
World
you
TV.
don't need
Yeah.
me to say anything. I'm good.
Yes.
So good to
We're
be back.
here
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah. All right.
So
So are we going to begin tonight? And I would have Rhonda take over with. Oh, wait. We did some questions already, and we want to make sure to go down to the ones we did not do. Where did we
yes.
step off? I forgot to ask you that beforehand. Did we step off at the W, the
Well,
big
that's
W,
okay.
small W? Did we do
Yeah,
that
I
one?
think
Yeah, we
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 covered
did
did
that.
do the
Yeah.
we
small and
did
big
have a few
W, right?
conversations about
Okay.
that.
So
Yes,
then we
we
will have
did.
you
We
begin with the
did.
chicken. Rhonda, we're going to have you begin with the chicken.
Well, the idea is the chicken and the egg syndrome. We've all heard this story in one way, one form or another. But in terms of our practice as spiritual practitioners, metaphysicians, witches, however you choose to define yourselves, um, which came first in terms of the practitioner? Is it being initiated as a witch or finding yourself that that's who you are and then coming into it? So, do you find that
Well,
you are that
yeah, I'm going to elaborate a little
innately?
bit. I'm going to elaborate a
Yeah.
little bit with that. And what basically is that a lot of people in traditions, especially, would say that you're not a witch until you've been initiated.
Yes.
So, that's kind of like, to me, the chicken and the egg syndrome of which came first then. Okay. So we're kind of going to go into that part to let people kind of say what they think on that. So I don't know who wants to begin first.
Um, Whoever, go
Yes,
ahead.
Debbie.
Debbie, yeah,
Um,
you said
I
No, Debbie. Debbie, go
well,
ahead.
I had my first spiritual experience when I was 7. Um, so the initiation had nothing to do with me beginning to understand, even at a young age, that I was just a little on the different side. And I think actually other people noticed it more than me. They noticed stuff going
Mm,
on around me that to me it was just like weird stuff that happened. Um, I was actually never going to get initiated because I have trouble with authority figures. And it's true. And when I started working with the Servants of the Light and with Dolores Ashcroft Nowishki, I realized that there was a point where my beings came to me and went, "It's time. Either
mhm.
like do it or don't do it, but the decision is before you. And that's when I originally got my first initiation. But the initiation is, I don't know that it means, I mean, I understand what it means more now, but it never really meant anything to me. I never wanted to be defined that
Mm.
way.
Okay. All right.
Interesting. I see, Christina, you're shaking your head. What do
Yeah.
you have to say about that, Christina? And then Ed.
And then Edward, yeah, Edward had his hands up too. Okay, so Christina, go ahead, sweetie.
Yeah, I resonate a lot with what Debbie said. I had like psychic and odd experiences as a child, but then my first real, what I would call like a spiritual awakening, is I had a near death experience when I was about 25 years old.
Mm.
Someone tried to kill me, and I
Oh,
had an
goodness.
experience that was like out of time and out of time, and I didn't really know what happened to me, and I was like searching for language for what happened to me. And because prior to that, I
Mm.
considered myself an atheist. So I had like no spiritual wordage
Int-
or compass or anything like that. So in exploring, like trying to explain what happened to me, I found like the occult and magic and ceremonial magic. And at a later time, I found witchcraft and felt like that was a better language to describe what I was experiencing versus like high magic or the occult. So, and as I've said all the times I've been a guest on your show, I come very strongly from a shamanic background, and I'm trained as a transpersonal psychologist. And transpersonal psychologists follow the shamanic belief that the universe or the divine initiates you. And I know I've said that before, like, I don't necessarily believe a person can initiate you, but rather like the universe chooses you and so on. So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Edward, go
Mhm.
ahead, sweetie.
Mhm.
Okay, from my perspective of it, is that first of all, the first goal of the witch is know thyself. So, in order to understand where you come from to begin with and recognize that you are a witch, you must have self awareness or self knowledge. Therefore,
Mm.
it comes from within first. To be initiated into a craft tradition is a different ball game because that's what that basically does is it allows you to have a family of a sort or like minded groups of individuals in the tradition.
Right, right.
Um, it's nothing to do with initiation making you a witch because you're a witch regardless of whether you're initiated or not. What
Mhm.
it makes you is by being initiated into a coven or into a tradition is allows you to find like-minded individuals and resources that can educate you or train you in the rest of the craft and the awareness of how to work the craft and work the magic. Because the first goal of the witch is know thyself. The second goal of the witch is know thy craft. The third goal of the witch is practice thy craft with wisdom.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Got it.
Right
Awesome.
on. Ashley, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think it's
That
kind of
was
like,
resounding yes.
yeah, no, I was
Yes.
thinking like it's kind of like to me like being like okay, like being really good at basketball. If somebody grew up their whole life and they were so good at basketball and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're so good at basketball. You should be in the NBA. You should be in the NBA." Nobody's ever going to take that away from you. And but I think
Mhm.
if you join the NBA, it opens up, like Edward was saying, like a community to you. It opens up more like official learning. Now you're really going to know what you can and what you should and shouldn't do, or like how other people practice it. So I think that
Yeah.
nobody can take the title away from anybody. If somebody's like, I'm a witch or I have these experiences, and I think of a lot of saints, and in this sense, I was like, saints, they a lot of the old ones, they're like they had these spiritual experiences
Mhm.
from an early age, but then they got older and then were put into this sainthood. So it's like nobody could ever take that away from them that they're having these experiences.
Right.
But if you want to join
Yeah.
a certain tradition and things like that, that's great. But like I think you are what you are from the moment you decide you are.
Right. Right. So what do you think,
Right on.
Rhonda?
Well
And then I
said.
will type in myself. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm first of all, I really appreciate what everybody's saying, and what I'm hearing, it seems to
Yeah.
be the thread or the through line is that there are distinctions in the sense of you are that, that's who you are. And then if you'd like to be part of a community that may have as its hierarchical structure or what have you, various levels or what have you, then yeah, I would have to agree with you. Nobody can take away who you are and how
Right,
you identify. That's not up
right,
to anyone else to determine. But if you're going to be within a structured system, whether it is ceremonial magician or whatever, then there are their little, and I totally agree with that. I am
yeah,
a witch regardless of what anybody else says, you know.
right, right. But
Star.
my thing is that I have respect for what everyone has said, but I also know what I've been around for too long, I guess, in the communities, and I've physically and have heard what people have said. And a lot of it now I'm seeing it physically on Facebook. There, this whole thing about you're not a witch unless you're initiated into something or initiated period, which like
Mhm.
I think it's Ashley or Debbie that said it, that you're being initiated into that like-minded group of whomever it is, have it as a family or whatever it is that you create.
Mhm.
And that's all it is, being initiated into that group
Yeah,
or mindset or whatever it is. But not, it has nothing to
precisely.
do with you being a witch. And that's a topic
Right.
that people boil around back and forth on Facebook or other platforms, social media platforms a lot. And it makes me gnash my teeth a
Yeah.
lot because I'm sitting there going, okay, I have to walk away. I can't do stupid. Um, because they really say it high handedly and they mean
Yes, they
that.
do.
And they like,
Yeah.
no arguments. This is what I'm saying and this is what it is. And whatever
And
groups you're in or your traditions, you guys know what I'm talking about and you know it's been said. Whether you're in a group that's not like that, but you know it's been said and you know that that's what a lot of them do and say. I've watched it happen over the years for many years. Um, for me personally, I don't, I'm not that person. I'm not that person to be initiated or join anything. Even forming the temple, I made it an open group as opposed to being initiated into anything. It's not a covenant, it will never be that. And I don't believe in that for
Mhm.
me. But that's just my
Mhm.
personal thing. For anybody else, they have their choices, and I give them that choices. And Christina would tell you, she's one of my
Yeah.
students. I, if you want
Mhm.
to call it preach, I say that so often. However you choose to
Mhm.
be that witch, it's not up to me. I don't dictate that. It's their
Mhm.
choices, and we just give them a bit of
Agreed.
ethic rules that they can follow or not follow. It's entirely up to them because they're their own system and their own practice. What was that,
Yeah.
Christina?
Christina, you were going to say, and then
Yeah,
Debbie.
I just want to compliment what Star is saying as one of her priestess students, that though we all may belong to groups or search out groups, at the end of the day we're all solitary witches because
Yep.
we do more magic on our own and by ourselves, every day than when we do come together as a group. So whether we belong to groups or not, we're
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
solitary practitioners.
At least to us, not to
Yeah,
everybody
Right
at
on,
else.
least us.
Debbie.
Yeah, at
It's a
least us.
personal thought. It's a personal,
Right.
yeah. So those are, all good ways of saying what
Debbie.
it is,
I'm
and
sorry.
that's definitely good ideas. Yes.
I want to go back to something Christina said before, which is really, really important, that no human being can initiate another human being.
Right.
That's just not the way it
Mhm.
goes. They facilitate it. They can
Yes.
be, I hate to use this word, forgive me, but they channel it. And when I got my
Mhm.
first degree initiation, there's a point at the end where they say, now, open, you're blindfolded through part of it, which, I did not enjoy. And and you look in your initiator's eyes, and she says, see yourself reflected back. And I looked in her eyes and realized she was not there. I mean,
Mhm.
it was a really intense moment for me to understand that she was facilitating the initiation, but she wasn't the one who was initiating me. And that's like
Right.
incredibly important. And as far as the amount of
Mhm.
stupid you've encountered, Star, we could do like 3 hours on
I know,
stupid.
right?
Um,
Right.
it's terrifying.
Right.
Yeah.
I do, before we jump off to another topic, thank you for that, Debbie.
Yeah.
I just want to add in the piece that I find within the community that we're living in currently. Things seem to be, please let me know if this is also your experience. Things do seem to be speeding up in our I'm just going to use the overall pagan community at writ large. Things seem to be speeding up, meaning I'm noticing the changes within the community happening faster. Meaning the people who are heavy-handed or high-handed with saying, "Oh, but you must be initiated in order to be a witch," are slowly, in my estimation, beginning to fade to the background. Meaning their opinions are their opinions, but there's less. I think there are more people looking at that and saying, "Yeah, but," as opposed to in the past saying, "Oh, but I must be." I think there's the open that there is more openness, we are ever evolving, and that I think things are beginning to shift at a faster pace, my experience at least,
Yeah,
of late.
maybe. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
I honestly think that I think the opposite
I'm
is
sorry,
happening.
Edward has his hand up too.
He does? Oh, I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Edward, you had your hand up? Okay. I was
Eh,
done.
Yes, I have my hand up.
Okay.
Rhonda, I want to make a comment on what you said because I've seen the evolution of the craft coming into play, especially with modern technology, including forums like we're using right now, as a way to discussion and bringing more openness in the pagan community. Now, back in 1992, all the way in 1994, etc., we've had several swings of paganism increasing its volume and increasing the amount of people entering into the pagan lifestyles. Now, sometimes it's faddish, sometimes it's not. The differentiation in traditionalism, in the case of like in my tradition, the Alexandrian Wiccan, which is one of the second oldest Wiccan tradition, is the fact
Yes.
is that we try to weed out those that are basically in it for the fad and not in it for the spirituality.
Mm.
Okay, and unfortunately, it's getting harder and harder for the elders of we're being called gatekeepers. We're being called all sorts of different terms.
Oh yeah, I've
And,
heard that recently. I've heard that recently on Facebook. People being called gatekeepers, and I'm sitting there going, "Really? There's all of that going on?" And we are.
yeah,
I don't know.
and
I think that's been happening a lot with a lot of the traditions.
yeah, and all the elders of traditions are more or less like, well, if you're going to call me a dictator or a gatekeeper, so be it.
Right.
Right? I'm trying to preserve
Yeah.
the craft as we learned it, as I spent the last 40 years in the craft, plus trying to preserve its roots and its value system. This is a society of fast moving. I want everything handed to me right here, right now, immediately. People.
Truth.
And
Yep.
unfortunately, this year and a day, I've seen it with other traditions. I'm not going to mention which tradition, but there's a tradition out there that you can have a high priest status in 3 years and 3 days by taking a test online. They are the ULC.
You know.
I knew of one group or one tradition that you could be a high priest or priestess in 1 year and a day. And I was quite surprised at that. But, to each his own. Again,
Yeah.
I always say to each his own kind of a thing.
So, in other words, that's why I'm saying you can't. No one wants to accept the spirituality or the responsibility that comes along with being a witch.
Right.
There's more to it.
Yes.
They don't want to do the work.
There is more to it.
It's
And that's the
instant
piece.
gratification.
Exactly so, Star.
Yeah.
You have to do the work. And those who are in it for the fad or for the fun or for the, oh, this is
Or
cute
the
right
money.
now,
Or the money.
are going to or the money. They're going to ultimately, it's just like anything else. You're going to those that are going to be the heavy hit, they're going to sink. They're going to stay at the bottom. They're going to hold space at the bottom of the pool, if you will. And those that are up top of the, swimming on the top, floating, they're going to float off.
Or we will throw them
But
to
the
the
ones that
bottom of the pool.
have substance,
Sorry.
those that are ones that are really in it for the long haul, who
Yeah.
really have some weight, they're going to be in it. They're going to really sit there.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the. I hear you. I respect that work, though. I
Yeah.
respect that work, Edward.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Ashley.
I just wanted to say too, like I find that like I'm thinking of there's people like looking back and trying to bring back traditions that have nobody to initiate them into. So like you look
Yes.
at there's traditions, and I know a few people trying to do like Aztec, like going really into Aztec mythology and Aztec magic, and the people who practice that and were initiates of that, a lot of them don't have somebody to initiate them. So it's like you can't then in that case too, it's like we can't say that this person isn't a witch because there's nobody who
Right.
was traditionally
Right.
practicing the way it was practiced 2,000 years ago. You know what I mean? It's like they are
Right.
what they are. So yeah, just thought of that.
That's it.
Mhm.
Right on. That is so true. That is
Yeah.
so true. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the
Star.
next question we kind of have to kind of ponder about or discuss is why are witches or magical people, however you want to describe them, is so misunderstood across the board.
Mm-hmm. Is that Christine? Is that your hand going up?
Hollywood and the media definitely has not helped, especially with their portrayal, like with the Wizard of Oz starting back there, like with the green-faced, ugly, evil witch. So I think we're fighting a lot of, but like it's really encouraging that a lot of new witch TV shows are coming out portraying witches in very positive lights. Like
Right.
I talked about this on the first panel. The like AMC, like a TV channel, is always like Mayfair Witches and all these witch shows coming out in which witches are seen very positively. But I think the media and the history of TV shows and movies portraying witches as evil, devil worshipping, that definitely is an uphill battle for a lot of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as you actually said the magical word, that part about the modern ones being told from a different point of view, and the older ones, they went by what? Because it was mostly Christian or Christian leaning people that were putting out those. So it was bound to be in that way, kind of a thing, suffer the witch kind of a thing from the Bible. But anyways, yes, Edward.
Okay.
And Ashley,
from the historical perspective, we have, up until the 1980s,
there I am.
witches have been misrepresented in several forms, starting
Is everybody back?
Way back in the early 1400s and 1500s under the Inquisition. And basically anybody who was a heretic would be declared a witch under the Inquisition in Europe. That's actually 1100.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, Edward was still speaking, Ashley.
Is
that's Debbie.
About misunderstanding
Okay.
in terms of people being different.
So
right, every religion has a mystical side, right? Judaism has the Kabbalah, but
Debbie, can you hear us?
Oh, so what? You can't hear me?
No, we can hear you, but I don't think you're hearing us.
Oh, we can hear.
Uh-oh.
Debbie?
Oh, she can't hear us.
She can hear us. Can you hear me, Deb?
Yeah. Debbie? I don't think she can. Okay, go ahead, Edward.
So anyway, historically, there was a misrepresentation, plus there was a misinterpretation of the Bible that occurred also. Because it's not suffer not a witch to live, it's suffer not a sorcerer or poisoner to live, which was a translation from the Greek and from the Aramaic to the Greek. Now, after that occurred, then it was suffer not a witch to live was a Latin translation, and it just went further on from that point on. Now, modern technology, modern witchcraft, and the presentation of it, as probably Christina can even relate to this one, is because of the occult sciences and stuff like this. And the fact is that Anton LaVey bastardized Christianity to start his Church of Satan, and we got
I don't think I can hear any of you guys, but
using our symbols as representation, and then you also had the representation in the 1930s and 1940s with Hitler using sacred symbols to negate the authority of things. So there's all sorts of things that brought witches into a bad light.
Right. But in modern day times, anybody has any further thoughts or anything like that on it?
Well, then you had the whole resurrection people, and like those people still using some of the Nordic icon as white power type of stuff. I don't know if anyone remembers. Like during the no, not the resurrection. When they stormed the White House.
Oh,
What
the
do they?
insurrection. The
The
insurrection.
Oh, the
insurrection. What did I
insurrection.
call it? Resurrection? No,
Resurrection.
no, no.
Resurrection,
You
insurrection.
had us going Christian like.
I'm sorry. The insurrection. How people during that were using like Nordic imagery, and that one guy was like the shaman, using a lot of
Yes,
that,
yes.
like that imagery as like racism and racist and anti-government. So that doesn't give us a good name either.
Right, right. Anybody else? Debbie, I don't know if she can hear us.
Yes, Ashley.
Um,
Ashley.
I think that actually, I truly believe that now with all the modern movement, people wanting to do everything naturally and use all these natural ingredients, I think it's actually becoming like way more like understood, because it's not just seen as like there's this very strict duality in spirituality, that there's good and there's bad. Now people are like, oh, I'm doing herbalism. I'm a witch doing that, or like people just use the word so differently now. Before it was like a witch was anybody doing anything negative spiritually. They would call them a witch, I feel like. Or if they
Yeah.
felt like they were doing something negative. It was never, and you think about all the people, doing good things. There are people doing herbal medications for their families. They didn't call them a witch. You know what I mean? They would call them, oh, that's just the lady who knows, or a healer. There's a lot of people who just call them healers. So the word, I think, it was always misunderstood because it was just used like that. It was, which was used when somebody was doing something that was perceived as negative, instead of something that was just like what they wanted to do or something positive to help the community.
Right, right. Okay.
And have
Um,
you I know Debbie's still working out her audio piece, but in the meantime, just a second on that same question. Why are witches or magical people still are misunderstood? Have you noticed any changes or any movement? I mean, we were just saying that, or I was just saying that I think that because, I mean, for example, that magazine, Witch magazine, that's out in every grocery store now across the country. I mean, it's like, how is this? It's a glossy magazine. I posted it on my Facebook page. It's not even Halloween and it's in the grocery stores. How is this? It's getting mass market appeal, and I know that Edward goes to your point about the fluff, but
mhm.
having said that, are there changes in attitude? Are you noticing anything changing or shifting, Ashley? And then Christina.
Because it's cool now. Like it's like if you
It's
go,
cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and again, like trust me, I see the fluff. It's annoying. I'm not saying that that's good, but I am saying that like it's cool. Like every teenage, we go to Lunar Fair. Rhonda. Every teenage girl
Yeah.
wants to be at Lunar Fair. And it's also, I think, a big. I also see it, and this is kind of specific, but I see it a lot
Mhm.
in. I'm not part of the LGBTQ community, but I do see the
Mhm.
acceptance of like the spirituality, and I see a lot of that, you know, them be feeling more accepted. So it feels more like there's more people coming, and it's wonderful. And I feel like now it's like,
Yes.
oh, that's that like really accepting space. Oh, that's and they're seen as more liberal and more free and more enlightened.
Mhm. Oh, Debbie,
Whoa,
have to turn your volume down. We got this going
Oh,
over here.
okay.
that's trippy.
Is that better?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, at
what
least
You
I
what
may
can
need
hear
yeah,
you.
what
a
Ashley said
headset
is
for that.
true. Yeah. What Ashley's just said is true. And I think that's happening, but I also think we're still getting that echoing going on. But I
Yeah. Do you
also
have a
think that
headset for that, maybe, Debbie?
yeah, because there's a lot of echoing. Um,
Yeah. We can just give up.
no, don't give up.
Okay.
Don't give up. No giving up.
No
Yeah.
giving up.
So a lot of what happens is I think, are we still hearing it? I'm sorry. Are you still hearing me echo?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're still hearing the echo. Debbie, I'm sorry. You'll have to turn the volume down. I'm sorry.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
what I've heard is I'm watching all of it happen, And I still believe that it's a calm before the storm, because the big companies, Sephora, all of them are all trying to market witchcraft in the sense that they could make money. If they can make money from it, they're going to try.
Yeah.
They're being sued. A lot of companies are being sued and they're removing it from their shelves, but they're still going to try, and they're going to keep trying to market it to make money because they see a market with it. And something that they were
Yes.
derogatory about before, now they want to make money from it. The issue that I'm seeing is watching the way this country goes and how quick to judgment they are. It's the calm
Mm-hmm.
before the storm. I think that people are going through not so much witchcraft era, but like a new age era, which I think the new age syndrome, I don't know if that's a positive thing for us or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to
Right. Right.
backfire or end up something happening at some point. Just one mistake with a witch involved in some way, and I think it's going to be an issue, and we are going to be next.
Yeah.
First there was the youth, then there were the LGBT, then it's always the blacks, but they're going to go next
Yeah.
for the witches. I believe that, because
Christina.
the constant thing of saying witch hunt all the time, and the heavy or Christian nationalism and all of that, it's going to end up, it just gives me that inner fear of it's going to get there. And we have to watch our backs with that,
Yeah.
because while they can make
Yeah.
money from it, they will ponder it, they will funnel it that way to make the money on it. But give it 1 second, one slip up by any witch in any way, or even a satanic person of their religion, and which they have the right to, and they will run with it, and we will be stoned out of place in a heartbeat. So
Christina.
I don't think this, and it's heavily new age. It's nothing to do with witchcraft, but because they think the new age is being witchy, so they're like, oh, this is like what we will do, or whatever it is, and one is not the same.
There's a
Yeah.
there's a really
Agreed.
fine line between like new age and witchcraft and the occult. Like the line gets blurry. And part of my roundabout way for getting here was new age, but I've come to realize that new age spirituality is incredibly toxic. Like their toxic positivity, their spiritual bypassing, and their cultural appropriation and colonization and all that. But so I echo a lot of what Star is saying. But what I like 2 points I wanted to make before is I found about 20 years ago, a lot of people entered and became more interested in like aromatherapy and herbs and yoga and all that because they were disillusioned with Western medicine and not getting answers and having unexplainable things happen to them that Western medicine couldn't answer. And I find the same thing is happening now with like religion and Christianity. I offer services like Debbie, like tarot and past life regression. And a lot of my clients reaching out to me are Christian, but they're having things happen to them that they can't explain through their Christian religion. So they're seeking out other answers. But then when they find out you're a witch, oh shit, they don't want a reading from you anymore. They don't want a past life regression from you anymore because you're a witch. Oh, but the past life regression and the psychic reading was okay until you found out I was a witch.
Right.
I'm an interfaith minister. I went to an interfaith seminary in Manhattan, and the interfaith community is really delusional because they're really just into the big three, right? You're Jewish, you're Christian, or you're Hindu or Buddhist, big four. They don't recognize the rest of it. I actually did the first hand fasting for the wedding practicum. They had never seen it before, and a woman came to teach us ritual. And I'm not going to lie, I rolled my eyes because when you work in a school like the Servants of the Light, it's like rituals are us, right? It's like, and she did this stuff that I found okay. I thought it was really interesting in terms of getting people involved in it on a really baseline kind of level. But I said to her after the class, do you know anything, about the Golden Dawn? And she went, oh my God, no, I don't do anything with that. And I gave her my card and said, well, if you want to learn what ritual is, you might want to look it up. Like there, I mean, even within that kind of community, you tell people you're an occultist and they just lose their minds, which makes it extra fun to upset them. Um, but it really is a stigma, and most people are starting to understand it more now, that the witch trials and everything, that was just a load of crap. That was just, I
Yeah,
want your land,
right.
I
Yes,
want your cat.
exactly. Exactly.
So the easiest thing to do would be say you're a witch,
Yeah.
and then and there's no winning, right? Once
Yeah.
they've accused you,
That's it.
if they throw you in the lake and you float, you're a witch. If they throw you in the lake and you sink, you're not, but you're dead.
Yes,
So
exactly.
You're
so
dead.
there's no
Yes.
there's no
Yes.
getting around it.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of that kind of that was built upon. I mean, there were cities in Germany where there were no women left. I mean, they just killed them all.
Yes.
But of
And took
course,
their land. They got their
and
land.
because the gods have a sense of humor, um, when they killed the witches, they killed what they believed to be the familiars. And when they killed all the cats,
Mm.
the rats ran rampant, and that's how the plague started.
Mhm.
Because the rats had no natural enemies.
Yes.
So, haha.
Stupid. Shooting them. Talk about shooting themselves in the foot,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Edward, go ahead, sweetie.
So, yeah.
The one thing I wanted to say about the new, I agree with you, Star, on the new age being a danger zone, if you will. When it comes to being a witch and the witchcraft generation, that new age is somewhat dangerous because one slip up and there's going to be
Yeah.
another set of witch hunters and everything else
Yep.
again.
Yep. The hunters are going to come out.
The thing about it is, though, this cycle of new age witchcraft occurs every 15 years. I've seen it every 15 years.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I've
but
seen it.
we're
And,
in the are we in the year?
and then it dies off for a bit. It goes into the shadows again. People go into the broom closet. Then they start coming back out again.
Right.
Um,
We just came out of the Piscean era, and now we're in the Aquarian era. So
we,
things are
we
going to
well,
change.
yeah, we're just getting out of the Piscean era right
Right.
now. Kind of into your
So things are going to change
right.
and be different. So that 15-year cycle is not going to happen the way it was before. Things are going to change entirely.
And what I'm looking at is what we need to do is educate the new age generation into regards of what witchcraft is, the spirituality behind it, the belief behind it, the understanding of the balance of nature, and the balance of self,
Right.
and things like that. Once we do that, we possibly can secure the future for the craft.
Well, that's another set of conversations for another time in terms of how to bring it to the people of the young people these days. But yeah, it's
Ashley, I think you had something to say too.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this, and like going back to even the beginning of our conversation, this is why sometimes like having the education is and being part of community can be so good, because there's a lot of people who are just like, I read one book by one person and now I have decided that I know everything. And you're like, what? Like,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and also like there's so many different communities and different ways to do witchcraft all over the world. So then to decide I am an
Yes.
expert because
What is funny?
Oh,
I read one book by
Oh,
one person is like not smart.
yeah.
no. And you're so true. People will do that. Read one book, and the next thing they're teaching classes and workshops all
please
over the
don't get
place.
me started.
It happens.
Or they
You
become that
you
phenomena of
just hit on my
TikTok
pet
witches.
peeve
Yeah.
of
I did.
I
people
think
who are not trained
I know.
training
I
other
think
people.
I think I made mention
Yes.
last panel, as a matter of fact. Read one book. I can read a book on anatomy and all of a sudden be a doctor. I
Yes.
can read a book on
Right.
law and become a lawyer. Right?
Right.
That's just the
How
attitude
is
everybody
it?
has, and I agree with
Right.
you.
Right.
Actually,
And not only that, some
Yep.
of the books that they're reading, you're sitting there going, no, that is
No.
no.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not the
Yeah.
author you should be
Sir.
reading. because what they
Oh.
did was regurgitate a lot of things that are inaccurate in the first place. They did not do their own research, their actual research.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
which a
Yes.
lot of books are regurgitated. I haven't bought a new book in a long time. Everything I have
I
are more
agree.
old, because it's just regurgitating stuff. Um,
There was a woman named
Mhm.
Kisma Stepovich a while back, and she was I don't I'm pretty sure she identified herself as a witch, but what they found was because back then the publishing laws between the UK and the US were very, very different. And someone actually put up a website. She wrote books that pulled directly from RJ Stewart and Gareth Knight's
Hmm.
books. And someone, I mean, and finally Llewellyn dropped her, and they're better
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
But
Which
but
yeah.
they
I'm
regurgitate.
sorry, go ahead.
It's not so much plagiarizing other people's work; it's regurgitating things that are inaccurate. Like, I mean, I have, just to give an example, I have actually seen people, like, I mean, big time authors, well known authors, write the same thing.
Mhm.
Mulene can be substituted for graveyard dirt. And I mean, and they're all saying this, and I'm going, does anybody do their research at all? You
See?
can't make something
Yeah, that's
that
a
it
big thing.
isn't, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh dear goddess. And the minute I see that line in anybody's book, I'm going, I'm out. I can't even read their work because I'm
Yeah.
going, they never did their research in my head,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so
And that's the part about the doing your work. And when Christina, you were saying that even though you're part of the temple, everybody has their practice. Everyone does their own work.
yeah.
That's what you
I
need to
I've
do,
seen that
right?
myself. I've
I know
seen that
we're
myself. Go
You've
I
ahead.
know
seen
we're
that. You've seen that
see?
line, right?
I've seen
Yeah.
that in a lot of ways. It's just evoking the elements.
Which
Okay,
one?
Mhm. Mhm.
evoking
Mhm.
the elements when
Oh, okay.
with
Evoking the
dismissing. I should
elements.
say dismissing the whole. Go if you stay if you will, go if you must. That has been said
Mhm.
time and time again in many authors' books,
Yep.
which is a total
Yep. Is not a good thing.
total not a good idea to begin with because you're telling the element to stick around. Well, they will.
Well, I always equate it to, like, when I tell my students, and I'm saying, if you say that to someone, as someone that came to your home, you invited for dinner, and you guys had your dinner, and then you go, okay, you can stay if you want, or you can go if you want. It doesn't matter.
Well, good. I'm
Really,
moving my
no,
furniture in.
get your butt out of my house. Go, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta leave. It's
Yeah.
been nice and it's been real, but it's time for
So,
you to go.
Exactly. Go in peace,
kind
go
of
in
go.
power is what I always
Listen, right? I want to bring us back around. We're not going to get through all these questions tonight, but let's just go through.
Yes.
There's one next other question that I really want to hope to get to, and that is, what do you love most about your practice? And I'll be honest, this is likely our last question. Maybe we can squeeze in one more because we're already at 10:45 just about. So what do you love most about your work, the practice that you have right now? What's the thing that stands out?
I go first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a
Go ahead,
tough
Edward.
question. Yes, Edward.
I think what I love about the craft the most and why I practice the most is the fact is that it allows me to be in contact with Mother Nature and the duality and balance of all things within
Mhm,
myself and with externally. It allows me the freedom
mhm,
to awaken my own senses and awaken my own belief, my own connection with the goddess and the earth mother and the higher power itself, which is undefinable. That's what I find
mhm,
the
mhm.
most valuable about the craft of practicing it.
Okay.
That's
All right.
where I'm at with it.
Ashley, what about
Beautiful.
you?
Thank you. Th-
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, Debbie had her hand up first. I didn't let her go
I'm
first.
I
sorry.
know, but you
Okay, go
never
ahead.
talk,
Yeah.
No,
Ashley.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Debbie. Go ahead, Debbie. I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry. I did not see your hand. I can't see everything
No,
because
it's
half of
okay.
my screen is my paper. That's why.
Um, I love, well, similar to what Edward said, I love being able to go kind of straight to the source. I grew up going to, oop, I grew up going to Catholic
Mhm,
church, and I feel like, oh, I don't know if you, okay, yeah. I feel like
Mhm.
there, and I never went to confession because I thought it was silly. But like I remember being like, and like I'm grateful to my parents who are very like they're religious but not that religious, and they encourage me. They're like, no, you say what you want to God, say whatever you want. You get to talk to him whenever you want.
Right.
Huh, that's awesome. So like now I feel like I have this like
This
connection.
voice.
Yeah, and the rituals I get to do, like they connect me directly to source, and I can't imagine having
Mhm.
like a better relationship with my creator than that. So
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Awesome.
Right on.
Okay, Debbie.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the thing I enjoy about it the most is being urban mostly. Um, I've
Mhm.
often had people say to me, "How come there's no more miracles? How come?" And I said, "Okay, you're not looking at it correctly. A
Oh my
miracle doesn't have to be the parting of the Red Sea, right? A miracle can be it's pouring
Right.
rain out and you get to the curb just as the bus goes there. So it's
Yes.
redefining what you believe. It's what you're paying attention to. It's the awareness of whatever your reality is, whether it's the woods, or whether it's 42nd and 3rd, or it doesn't matter. It just makes you more
Mhm.
aware
Mhm.
of everything, and I think it's that
Mhm.
connectivity that is really special to me.
All right. That's wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Christina, what about
Christina.
you?
Yeah, this is a hard one to answer. Like none of us volunteered to go first. I think what I like the most about my practice is even before I identified as a witch, I think my path, my spiritual practice has been so divinely guided and divinely
Mm.
led. Like I think I'm doing the right thing for me, but then the universe is like, no, let's take a hard right turn here, or I had like a tower
Yeah.
card like a tower card moment, like everything crumbles apart because I needed to rebuild differently or stronger. So, like, yeah, just so divinely led.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Love that.
What about you, Rhonda?
How about you, Steph? Oh, okay. How about I'll go. I'll go. Yeah, this is a good one. Um, and as is the case with everything, well, long story really short, I just finished speaking of tarot, I just did an immersion weekend with my students this past weekend, and we were going through the court cards, a couple of hours of just court cards, and I was reminding them, hey, fun practice, do a family tree and see who your court card is for the various people in your tree. However you define family, friends, employers, whatever, however you define, just a group of people, and remind yourself that this is only a snapshot in time. This is how you see them right now. They're not always that king of pentacles. They're not always the page of cups. How do you see them right now? And that's how I remind myself of how magic is for me right now. In my life today, at this point, the thing I love the most is how m- living my practice is something that I no longer have that sense of this is something so foreign to me that I am outside of it. It is it's a part of who I am that it allows the doors within the the hall of mirrors that is me. It allows them to open up so I can see into those areas that I couldn't see into when I was 25 or 35, that I was afraid to look at. Now I'm like, it's scary, it's mucky, it's dirty, it's whatever it is, but I'm okay looking in those corners. And that's what I like. That magic and my practice has brought me to this space
Yeah,
today
yeah. That's
in
awesome.
my life. And I like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
oh, okay. For me,
Yes, yes, we are.
actually, for me,
Yes.
I kind of like the fact that I feel like I could do anything. That
Mm.
I've reached. I don't know how to explain it. I've reached that stage in my life where um, I do it without thinking anymore. You know what I mean? Because for times you would kind of go
Yes.
through a time of your life where when you were younger and you had to think about it and go to a book and go, okay, I need to see what this is or whatever it is. Now I just kind of do, and I go by rote, and I just
Hmm.
and it just comes together, and I'm like, awesome, and and I'm going with it. And I just feel like
Mhm.
whatever I'm doing, it's meant to be that particular way. So I go with it. And I have no one dictating to me other than me. I like that. The freedom, that's one of the things I like about, if you can call us a tradition per se, is the freedom to choose to own my own path of where I'm going with my magics or with my
Yes.
life and where and my freedom of that. That's a huge deal to me. And it's one of the
Yes.
reasons I it's one of the reasons I cannot get into a tradition at all. I just cannot. I
Mm.
feel like they're gonna box me. I don't want to be boxed in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on. Right on.
So
Thank you.
yeah, that's awesome
See, that's
for everyone.
fabulous.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
not quite at the top of the hour, and there are a couple other
I think
questions.
we
Which
can
one
do
do you
it.
want
I think we can
to
do it.
wrap
Let's
us
do
up
it.
with, Star?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right.
let's see. How can we help dispel the idea of magical practitioners being evil or of the devil?
Wow.
Debbie, you think you can do that?
I don't. I mean, all we can do is live our best life, and and communicate whatever we do to people when they ask us. But I don't know. I don't know that we can change the way people feel any more than we can change a Republican into a Democrat. God help us. Um, I think
She
we.
took it
Yeah.
there. Debbie, you took it there. That's
Oh,
awesome.
I have been listening to. I have been on YouTube listening to court things for
Oh.
like 48 hours. It's amazing I can breathe on my own.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but it's true. I don't think you can change anyone's mind.
Right.
I think you can present yourself in a way that they begin to question themselves.
Right.
And then
Right.
if they want to ask you, then you tell them.
Yes.
But I don't know that
Mhm.
that someone's mind can be changed. I
Okay.
think if they want to see you as evil, if they need that evil, then if it's not you, it's going to be somebody else.
Right. Right.
You know.
Right. You're absolutely right.
But
Absolutely
I
right.
don't know that you can change anybody's mind.
Okay. All right. Ashley, what do you think?
I just,
I
yeah.
think that's awesome what you just said.
Yes.
I agree with Debbie a lot, and I also think that I it because I know people always say like, well, it's not up to like certain people to educate people about like who they are, but unfortunately, we kind of have to like you know, if somebody like if I mean it's like, if people are curious, like just like I don't want somebody coming and just like telling me everything if I didn't ask about themselves,
Right.
like trying to and trying and I think there's also this issue of like people we're we're also used to and like don't want to deal with people proselytizing. So like when we say stuff, we don't want to sound like that. So you don't want to go
Right.
around being like, "Well, I'm a witch. I do this," and because people are like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I don't want to be," and it's like, "But I'm not trying to make you one. I'm just explaining." So I just explain things to people as it comes
Right.
up, and I feel like that's
Mhm.
my like yeah, we're all fine. Don't worry, we're not gonna try to kill you. Like, it's
Right.
like, yeah, just like as it comes up, and when people are curious, I always just try to get them calm and be like, no, but it's just, and I always try to relate to people, at least me personally, relate to
Mhm.
something in their life. But I'm like, but like blah blah
Right.
blah, it's kind of like that. They're like, oh yeah, I know that. My friend does that. I'm like, see, they're
Yes.
cool, right? Like it's
You
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind
right
certain
on.
people being a
Right
little
on.
afraid. Um, I mean,
True.
I won't tell anyone I have an envelope of people's signatures in my bookcase, just in case. Um,
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
but no, you know
Right
what? As
on.
long as somebody wants to know, I'll tell them anything they want to know.
All right. Okay. That's awesome.
Right.
Edward, you have your hand up.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to say the best way we can dispel the whole stigma of evil and everything else from what we are is not by proselytization. I agree with you, Ashley, 100% on that because we don't preach, we teach.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
and the best way we can do that in teaching others is by reflecting exactly our own values, by keeping
Mhm.
our own faith, being the true witch and being the one who is aware of themselves and present that.
Right.
Present
Mm,
your self awareness,
mhm.
present your craft, present who you are. I'm an everyday Joe. I'm out there doing my thing with my publications and everything else. I walked into a library today and turned in 3 of my magazines to the library just so I could help
Mhm.
educate the public on what the craft is about,
Right.
giving them a form.
Right.
But the thing about it is, right? I'm not going to dress up in. First of all, don't go dressing up in all the accoutrements unless you're going to a festival or whatever else. Come as
Right.
you are,
Right.
Right.
because
Right. Right.
that
Absolutely.
adds to the stigma. If I
Right.
walk around wearing a hat, wearing a witch's hat constantly and stuff like that, I'm adding to the
Yeah.
stigma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be yourself, be
Thank
true
you
to
for that.
yourself, and be honest with yourself.
Okay. Well, you
Yeah.
you 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 said something there, Edward. I'm gonna say because everything else I agreed with you, but there are some witches that I know that they're being themselves wearing that witch's hat. I'm not gonna take that away from them because that's who they want to be and that's who they are all the time. So it even though it may be a stigma, I think it's something that we ourselves have to respect someone else's wish to do
Oh, I
that.
respect everybody else's right to do a thing, but be yourself
That's
and
what I mean.
present it,
Yeah.
and present the
Mhm.
right face. Present a positive outlook.
Okay.
Present. Be true to yourself. Be true to your craft. Be true to yourself.
Right. Right. Okay. Christina.
A lot of what Edward said about being true to yourself. So as long as you're self-confident and you believe what you're doing is right and good for you and true for you, then who cares what anyone else thinks?
Right. Pretty much.
I mean,
Hmm.
like Debbie said, you can't change someone's mind. People are always going to look for someone to blame. People can't take personal
Yeah.
responsibility. So
Yeah.
someone's got to be evil in their narrative. And if it's a witch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the cliche knowledge is power. When educating people on the etymology of the word, of the history. We were here way before Christianity was, and we never started any holy wars.
Right. Right.
And we
Again, all
never
that came after. All that came after us.
we
Anyway.
never killed anyone for not believing in what we believed in. So
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Well,
What do you think, Rhonda?
well, that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, that's a whole other
Because the
discussion.
pagans killed the Christians before the Christians killed the pagans. Um,
They okay,
In the
Rhonda.
sense of the
Yeah,
feed them to the
that's a
lions.
whole other
there you go.
discussion.
Sorry. Sorry. Going there. Um, where are we going? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was
The
asking you
question.
your part in it, and
I'm
then
just
I'll
like
answer for me.
dumbfounded. No, say again.
No, I
I'm just
go
trying to
ahead.
go back to the circle of how do we dispel the idea of magical practitioners being evil or of the devil? Yeah, I guess that is a thing. Yeah, you cannot make someone believe anything. They're going to believe what they choose to believe.
Right,
Um, I think the biggest thing for me is just being and it is difficult because some people are still they have to live in spaces where it is not very comfortable to be as open or out or,
right, right.
say things
That which is
as
kind of sad. Yeah,
plainly
yeah,
as we're having discussion here tonight. So it's difficult when you feel hindered from just communicating who you are.
right.
We can go back through history about how that impacts people. If I can't speak my truth, then we're not having an
You're being
honest
suppressed. You're being suppressed.
relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
being suppressed. So that becomes a challenge is how, you know, be as open about who you are and what your beliefs are. That I guess that's the simplest thing
yeah.
under the conditions that you have to live under.
Right.
Yeah, star.
Yes, yes. I honestly I'm 100% me all the time. And so it just so happens that this weekend, not this weekend, on the 14th, Valentine's Day, I was at New York Build at Jacob Javits Center. And
Mhm.
I'm just me. I'm dressed in black or whatever it is. I'm always pretty
Mhm.
much in black. I don't
Mhm.
care. And
Right.
I'm just being me. And we sat, Daryl and I sat at one table, and there were these two black men that sat at another table. And I'm saying race because blacks have a
Mhm.
tendency to be very Christian or whatever, and they tend to question if they see another Black person that's not Christian. So I don't know
Yes.
how it came up, but he said, I'm Muslim, and the other one said he's whatever. I forgot what he said. And he goes, what are you? I don't even know why they even asked. And I said, I'm a witch.
Yeah.
And a look of shock on their faces, and they, and they with drawing back, because I'm just me. I'm like, yep, I'm a witch. And
Yep.
then he was like, why? Like with this why? And I said,
Right.
let me educate you. And when I was done, I would talk about archaeological speaking. And he said, but the true religion is Muslim. I said, why? I'm asking you
Right.
why, because you were a witch from way back before any of that.
Yeah.
So if you know your true
Yes.
history, you would not be calling yourself any of these things and taking on someone else's religion. I said, that's one. I said, I'm not proselytizing. I don't come to you to tell you anything. You asked me. So I'm telling you. So now I'm going to turn it
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
you. When I was done, I said, now I'm going to turn it on you. Why?
Yes.
And I was just like,
Yes.
because now I'm questioning you.
Yeah.
And by the time we
That's-
were done, they were like, can I have your business card? I want to talk to you more. And I was like, but I said, I don't teach outside. If you're going to come to me to learn, you're going to
Yeah.
come to my school to learn. I said, I don't have the time to,
Yeah.
or the inclination to teach
Yeah.
anyone outside of that, And
No.
so if you want to know,
That's
he
fair.
goes, you have a school, please give me the card. And I was just like, okay, whatever.
Yep.
But
Right on.
this was the conversation, and it's just so funny that that's exactly what I did. I was dispelling what it is, their
Yeah.
thoughts on it. As to whether they change or not is not my problem, because it's their thing. It's not a my thing. That's the way I see it. However
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
see things and their
Yeah.
reactions. And yes, I have done the thing about when people go, oh, you're a witch, and I'm like, and I go, yes, be afraid, be very
Yeah.
afraid. Things like that. I am
Yeah.
that person that gives zero at all.
Yeah.
I would say and do whatever I have to do, and I just walk on. I don't have the time to be with stupid.
Keep it
I
moving.
literally say that
Well,
and do that and walk away. So I
I
think
love
we
that. And I
good with
think that's
that.
a wonderful way to wrap up our night.
Yes,
That's a wonderful way to wrap up our
Okay, to wrap up
conversation
all of that.
today.
So we want to thank you all. You guys have been so wonderful. Your thoughts, your
Everyone.
ideas, your words, everything that you guys have said and brought
Yes.
to the table. We so appreciate it, because it people liked it before when we did part 1. And you guys have been so informative, and thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and your answers with us on the show tonight. We really,
Yeah.
really appreciate it, and appreciate all of you.
For taking the time to come
Yes.
back to be with us. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
And for your candor. We truly appreciate that.
Yes.
We will be back next week, Star and
Yes.
I. And who is our guest next week?
Patty Negree. Yes, we're going to be glad to have her.
Yeah.
Hollywood Witch, which we've tried
Yes,
twice to
I
have her
know.
on the show, but this time she said third time's a charm. So we will be
Third
hearing
time's the
her,
charm.
but I do have
Right
to say
on.
again, thank you all. You have made the show tonight
you.
a
Thank
wonderful
you.
show. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Have a
Bye.
great week, everyone.
All right,
See you
take care.
next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.